Hello and welcome to the channel of StitchBasel. My name is Dawn. I have the social media handle Frosty XStitch. So you will find me on Flosstube or Instagram, Discord, most places with the exception of Facebook. You can find me on the Frosty XStitch. That's usually one word or two words. Otherwise, my name's Dawn. I will put all the information that you need to contact me about StitchBasel and StitchBasel events in the description box. The main platform that I use is Google Drive. So the main email is a Google email address, it's a Gmail address, and it has a number. It's StitchBasel 2023 because StitchBasel was taken. So because the retreat, the first StitchBasel retreat that we held here was in 2023, and that's why that is the email address that we have, StitchBasel 2023 at gmail.com. You can write there if you have questions, if you just want some information, or sign up happens through there. There's, like I said, Instagram. Instagram is at StitchBasel. There's also a Facebook page /StitchBasel, and if you sign up for one of the retreats, you will get an invite to a private Discord server only for that year. There will be one retreat a year, and I'm going to explain the differences in what is a retreat, what is a retreat light, or what are XStitch days that are happening this year. There's also something that is just an afternoon in Basel that also is under the name StitchBasel. So I'm going to just explain everything a bit here, but just that you know, this is the Flosstube site for StitchBasel, but there won't be very many videos on here because the videos are on my channel, Frosty XStitch, or on other people's channels where they talk about it, and I put that in playlists on the StitchBasel Flosstube channel. So mainly you will say playlists and not videos done by me. So I would like to start and just tell you that this is what you see when this is our brand. It's the Edelweiss, because Edelweiss was Switzerland. It was designed by Lily Pilly Stitches, who made the first free retreat pattern for our very first retreat. The whole thing was that I've been stitching for a few years now, and I've watched a lot of Flosstube, and I've seen cross stitchers go to retreats in the United States, United Kingdom, in the Netherlands, in Australia, and none in Switzerland. There are a few craft shows and things like that happening in Switzerland and Germany and Austria, France, Italy, that all border onto Switzerland, but they're not specialized for cross stitch. And the cross stitch retreat, like I've seen them on Flosstubes, no. And also cross stitch can be a very lonely hobby if you don't connect through social media, or you don't have friends who do cross stitch. So creating a retreat and opening it up to anybody from Europe, and yes, we have Canadians and Americans come. We haven't had Australians come yet, but I guess that is a bit too far. But we've had, well, we have Hungarians coming because XStitchDaysBasel, the Snowflower Diaries, Vintage Tulip Design and Lucky Butterfly Stitchery, they come from Hungary. We have people coming from Norway. We have lots of them coming from the Netherlands, France, Germany, Belgium, Italy. We have a Ukrainian who lives in Italy. She came. And it's basically get everybody together and meet up, and if you connect through social media, you get to see them in real life for 2 or 3 days. And we also want to get small businesses, like if you have an Etsy shop because you're dyeing fabric or you're dyeing floss, or you're starting your own design business for cross stitch designs, or you whatever, making project bags, needle minders, whatever. If you want to come, if you want to sponsor, that's a good way to get your name into the cross stitch world. And you can either sponsor, or you can come and be a vendor. You can sell. So for me, having XStitchDaysBasel come in the first retreat, I've never had hand dyed fabric in my hand before buying it. Yes, I did have a bit of hand dyed fabric that was gifted to me, people sent it to me, but having it in your hand and being able to open it up and see it in daylight, or even if you have a pattern that you want to kit up, you can bring your pattern, you can look at the different fabrics that XStitchDaysBasel brings along, and then you might also see Color Fever floss, and then you can buy the floss for the pattern, and then maybe you find a pattern from the Snowflower Diaries or from Vintage Tulip Design, and you take that and you have the fabric there. You can look at the fabric, you can look at the floss with the pattern, and then you can buy the project bag that matches. And maybe you'll have the needle minder in a goodie bag, or it was sponsored or something like that. It's just to sort of get things working and getting information to not just be, you know, through social media, hey, does anybody know where I can buy this? And then 3 people write something, but one of the website is out of order, one of the website is only in French and I can't speak French, or whatever. But this is where you get together, and even if you don't buy, if you're not interested in the vendors, XStitchDaysBasel, for instance, they come and they stitch with us. So Yukos sits there, stitches in hand, while T-Bot does all the work. She knows how to do it. They're really such a good sales team, and they've perfected it. But they come and stitch with us. So even though at the beginning it was like fangirl moment, because everybody knows XStitchDaysBasel, at least I've heard it. But now it's, hey, hello, oh, it's lovely to see you again. It's that sort of vibe. It's what everybody calls the cross stitchers are the nicest people. I mean, I always say no, cross stitchers are just normal people, but in a setting like a retreat, cross stitchers can turn into the nicest people, and they look after each other, and you can sit and stitch with them. And if you have a problem, like I have a massive problem with one of the mirabilias I'm stitching, and I actually asked 2 people, and I knew 2 people who were stitching on the same project, and I asked them if they would bring it, because if they could bring it along so that I could show them mine and tell them what my problem is, and maybe they could help me. Unfortunately, in that retreat I did not get time to talk to anybody or do anything. But now it's different, and we have, okay, I'm going to just go back, take a step back. Okay, the first retreat that happened was in 2023, and that was just called StitchBasel. It took a year to organize, more than a year. We needed a name. StitchBasel, I think, was the best name we could choose, because it's in Basel and it's for stitching, cross stitching. We found a really good room, or I found a really good room, and the date, it was pretty clear we have to do it in September, because that room has just one weekend when you can have it. So it was September. September's good for me, especially with Basel being a world open city. We have Art Basel Miami, we have Basel World, which is watches and jewellery. We have, we're going to have the Eurovision Song Contest this year. We're also going to have I think it's CIS, that's it's horse riding, the things that you usually see on television where they jump over. We're having the World Cup in, I think, April this year in Basel. We've had the men's football World Cup with other countries. We also had the men's football European Cup with one other country, mainly in Basel, because we have the stadium, we have the infrastructure. And this year, like I said, we have the horse World Cup, then we have the Eurovision Song Contest, and then in June, I think it's July, sorry, I'm getting all these things muddled up, doesn't matter. We have the women's European soccer for US and football for everybody else championship in Switzerland, and Basel is host city. We have the first game, the opening game, the second game, 2 more games, and the final. 5 games in Basel. I'm going to be a volunteer, UEFA volunteer. I do not approve of UEFA, don't tell anybody, but I'm going to be a long-term volunteer for them. So we have things happening here. We have exhibitions, we have the Basel Museum, we have so many things going on. So for me to have a weekend set aside that every year I can have a retreat of some sort where cross stitchers come to Basel from all over Europe and some other countries. Yeah, so September. We knew that we wanted to do a retreat because we mainly wanted to have Swiss people come, because I know about a handful of Swiss people who cross stitch, and also don't live in Basel. But when I started stitching, I tried to find stitchers from Switzerland. I tried to find German-speaking cross stitchers. Not that English is a problem, because my mum's British, I'm a dual citizen, so English is not a problem for me. But living in Basel, I want cross stitch friends. I want people to come and stitch with me in an afternoon, and for that I need to get to know cross stitchers in Switzerland, in just across the border in Germany or in France. So like I said, took us a year. We tried to get sponsors like Zweigart and DMC and Stickstoff and smaller like Etsy shops that would sponsor us, that would send something for a goodie bag, for door prizes, whatever. We then had people sign up. We had 50 spaces to give, and the Snowflower Diary signs up. The Snowflower Diaries, I know the Snowflower Diaries because everybody was stitching these monthly, January, February, monthly little tiny cross stitch pieces. So I knew Snowflower Diaries was a name that I knew. And she signed up. And I went like, what? And it was like, can a friend of mine come as well? Yes, of course. I mean, of course. We still have open spaces. And then it's like, XStitch Designs signs up. And it's like, oh my god, XStitch Designs signed up. And then Vintage Tulip Design signs up. And they signed up to come and stitch. So suddenly we went from, we're going to have a room with stitchers and a goodie bag and door prizes and a quiz and a smalls exchange and a group photo. Now we have vendors. Where will I put vendors? So it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So the first retreat is StitchBasel 2023 was a retreat. We cannot do what the Americans and most of the other ones do, is have a hotel and inside the hotel have a conference room. Because we would have had that relatively near to me. We had nearly every hotel had conference rooms the size that we needed. Thanks to Corona, we don't have that anymore. They now have conference rooms the size of 10 people plus a huge screen so that you can have your Zoom meetings. So that doesn't work. But I found more than one room now where I can have something between 40 and 100 people. Depends on the room and depends on what I want to put out there. So that room, I knew 50 people. And we'll still have space, and if the weather's nice, and it was, we had a whole balcony. We could sit outside in the sun. We had temperatures of nearly 30 degrees. We had a heat wave at the end of September. And we had, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was, people came, they signed in, they got a name tag, they got a goodie bag, which apparently was 2.5 kilos heavy. Yeah, that was too heavy. We had door prizes, and every group of tables had electricity. So you could plug in your lamp, you can plug in your tablet, your phone, whatever you want. You can plug it all in, use it. We had a coffee machine and a tea station where you just could go and get coffee all day long, as much as you like. We also had running water, so you could get tap water. There was also some bottled water, mineral water there. But it's in a station, so you could go out and you could just find food. We had, there's a McDonald's, there's, I think what is it, some sort of Asian place, there's a cafe, there's a shop, a food shop. There should have actually been a restaurant, but that closed while we were having our do. But the whole thing was so overwhelming, and it was so big, and I was the only one who had seen the room before, and I know that room. I know it really well because I've seen so many football matches in that room. I've been there for coffee, I've been there for tea, I've been there for, you know, meeting people, doing whatever. I know that room, so that was not new. But there were a few downsides to the whole thing. So, and after that event, I mean, I was worn out. I didn't even unpack my stitching. I didn't get to sit down, talk to people, stitch, do anything. I didn't even get to see the massive brag walls that we had set up and the brag table. I just got to film it, but I mean, I've seen it filmed so many times. I didn't want that. I wanted to go and see it. We had a smalls exchange. I think I was the only one who got a small that was smaller than the size that we had. We had given a limit on how big and how small, and it should fit in there. I think I was the only one who it had no name in it. It was smaller than we said, and there were no goodies in it. Whatever. It was nicely stitched. I gave more than we said we would, but that's just the way I am. But it was a really fantastic experience. So when everybody said, will you do it again? Will you do it again? I said, well, if we do it again, I don't know if we can do it next year again. Not the same. We just can't. It's too much work, and we would have to start working now. And I need at least a week's rest. What I didn't know was that I had caught COVID and I already had symptoms on Sunday night. So I was sick for 2 weeks afterwards, and it was just, yeah. But I decided that I could do something in a smaller scale. And that was when I introduced StitchBasel Light. So I had actually been promised a room for 2024, which they didn't. Suddenly, in a new year, decided they would not give me. So I had to go in search of a new room. And of course, the date that I wanted, there was going to be a wedding. I could have had a second room because they needed the church, the inside sort of the structure where it's outside but it's inside between the buildings, which they had sort of reserved. So the church, the inside place there, and then that one room, and they had booked that for 2 days. So I couldn't have that room. I could have had the other room, but then we would have had to walk through. And they've reserved it, they've paid for it. So there was no way I could do that, and I didn't want to, because you can't smoke in that whole enclosure. It's a working orphanage. So you have to be a role model to any child you see there. So no pets allowed, no smoking on the site. Alcohol only inside the rooms, and only if it's closed off and none of the orphans can come in. So I knew that I can't do it on that date. I just can't. Which date will I choose? So it had to be the date of my 50th birthday. I didn't want to do that, but I did. So I tried to scale everything down. There were to be like no sponsors, no vendors, or if vendors, then only like small Etsy shops, maybe, because you know they'll just have like half a table that they need. If somebody wants to sponsor something, that's fine, but I'm not going to go asking anybody. And yes, there would be tea, there would be coffee, there would be mineral water, tap water, and some Swiss biscuits. And then there would be a smalls exchange and a group photo. No other things. Just that would be it. And I started organizing it myself because I didn't need that much organizing. I just knew that during the event, I would need help, you know, people who would fill up the coffee machines, because they're my coffee machines. I have 2 coffee machines. You just have to fill the water. All the rest, anybody can do. But you have to check, you know, that the water's filled and the kettle has water in it. It's an electric kettle. And then, you know, I had to I had to find a place where I could get cups, saucers, spoons, glassware, so that, you know, people could have a drink. So I organised all of that, and then because it was my 50th birthday, I also got some cupcakes for the Saturday. So 50 cupcakes with chocolate and 50 cupcakes with just vanilla, to celebrate my birthday. And it was fantastic. It was the room was really great. It had such good light, and my brother and my dad, they put electricity at every. We had long tables where you can put, if you squeeze, you can get 10 people on. I said, well, if you squeeze, you get 8 people on. So it was between 6 and 8 people at one table, but each table had electricity supply. We had a brag table, but we had the brag walls differently. And we did a smalls exchange and a group photo and a sort of getting to know each other little game on Friday. So no big things to organise. The biggest thing was getting everything set up before the people came. And give them the name tags, because the name tag is to show that you're coming. Because on the first retreat, it was you sign up, and you sign up and you pay, and then you have a certain date, cut-off date, and if you still signed up by that date, you will not get your money back if you don't come, or if you can't come, whatever. If you cancel and I can get somebody from the wait list to come, you get 80% of your money back. But by that time, we need to know already, you know, do you stitch with Ada or linen or whatever, because that affects what you get in your goodie bag. But this time, because there was no goodie bag, or yes, there was a goodie bag, but everything was handmade in there. I made something, Paolo made something, 2 of the Germans made something. It was actually really nice. Just a small little goodie bag. But people could this time sign up for 3 days or 2 days or 1 day. So I needed to know, you know, has this person signed up for 3 days or just for today, or maybe just for tomorrow? So they needed to have name tags. I needed to have that to see, you know, are they allowed to be here, or did they actually just wander in, which we don't want. And XStitchDaysBasel said, well, we're coming. And I said, well, I think you've already, basically, most people who came in 23, they've already bought from you, and they've bought more fabric during the year. So I don't know if it's going to be good enough, if you will be able to sell. So they didn't bring as much as they did the first time, but Vintage Tulip Design came as well. And Colour Fever came. Unfortunately, she didn't come until Saturday, and so there were 3 other vendors. It was Frog and Fudge, who had project bags. It was Caroline, who had project bags, and there was, sorry, I've forgotten your name. She was from Belgium. They had project bags, but project bags didn't sell. I didn't understand why it didn't sell. I know now, because Colour Fever, who has floss, people were waiting for Colour Fever to come so that they could have the patterns that they brought with them, get the floss from Colour Fever and get the fabric from XStitchDaysBasel to match it up. And when they've bought that, they know how much money they have left, and then they can go and buy project bags. Now I know. But there was a lot less preparation, and, well, preparation before and afterwards, it takes a lot. But during the event, I just took my time and I sat down and I talked with as many people as I could. And yes, I got my stitching out, but no, I did not put any stitches in. It was fantastic. That event gave me so much, and not only me. So that was a StitchBasel Light. Now, I'm not going to go into details, but there was going to be a StitchBasel 2025, and it would have been a StitchBasel 2025 in the same way as we had the StitchBasel 2023. So it was planned, we planned it as an event with about 50 to 60 people in the same place as we were now, with vendors, more vendors on sort of the outside. We would have the brag table, the smolts exchange. We were going to have a Zoom on a big screen with probably Mr. XStitch or a designer, an overseas designer, because having them come, I can't pay that. Otherwise, nobody will pay for the event, or it'll be too expensive. But having somebody on a Zoom, we can do that. I also had people say, how about workshops? So I already had a few people who said they would do workshops, and I was going to organize that. That was all not a problem. And we were going to ask for sponsors again, but not the same amount as we did where we just went, do you want to sponsor us, to anybody we knew. So we would be a bit more, we would have had two people who would design a pattern, so we would try and maybe get the fabric for one of the designs from Zweigart and maybe DMC for the pattern for the other from DMC, and see, you know, do stuff like that. We started planning. I had to get sign up out. I had the price, I had everything, I put sign up out, and then everything crashed around me. Now, I think a lot of people know what happened, and those who don't, you never want to know what happened. You don't. Because it shows you that cross stitchers are human beings, like you and me. So I had to put out there that StitchBasel is cancelled. StitchBasel 2025 is cancelled, and it felt like I had to cut off an arm. I was dying. StitchBasel has been my life since we first started talking about it in 2022. Since then, StitchBasel has been on my brain every single day, and it just ripped my heart out. It was just this black hole, and I knew that if I don't do a StitchBasel event in 2025, then I can. StitchBasel was dead. So luckily, my dad sat down with me and we had a very, very long talk. And what we did was I basically stripped the retreat of everything. So basically, I have the room, because I had the room's there. I have the room, I have 2 coffee machines, I have coffee left over from it, coffee keeps. I have tea, I have a kettle. I can get a hold of the coffee cups, cheap. There will be no cupcakes, no cakes, no biscuits, no nothing. I'm not going to be washing up. Whoever comes has to wash up their own mug. I will not be doing a goodie bag. Just no. Don't have the head for it. Don't want to do anything. Not interested. If people want to sponsor me, that's fine. I will make a goodie bag. We'll have that. Sign up has to happen. I'll have a list. At the moment I have 51 people have signed up. I'm going to allow 55 people in, and whoever comes after will go on a wait list. But you don't have to pay. You just sign up. But please, if you cancel, let me know, because somebody from the wait list might want to come. Because you still have to book a hotel, get the train or flight, or get somebody who drives you, find somebody who takes a hotel room with you. If you can, stay on the German side or on the French side because it'll be cheaper. You can pay in euros, it'll be cheaper than in Switzerland. Switzerland's quite expensive, but if you like the comfort and you can afford it, stay in a hotel that is just literally next door to the stitchy room. The stitchy room is in the middle of town, the small part of town of Basel. So sign up. I'm going to allow 55 people in, the rest will go on the wait list. But no, you don't have to pay yet. And at the moment, I have X2 design. So Jukus and Tibor are going to come and stitch, and they're going to come and sell. Timmy from Vintage Tulip Design and Lucky Butterfly Stitch Free is going to come and she's going to sell. And if she remembers and if she has time, I know that she's going through a difficult phase at the moment, but if she can, she is going to design a cross-stitch pattern for free for the retreat, which is lovely. So you already have one thing in your goodie bag. I have had 2 designers who have reached out to me and said, can I come and sell? And I said, yes, you can. So at the moment, both of them, they have different things going on in their life, so they have to wait and see if it will be possible for them, but it's looking good. So I have, one of them is also world known, and I'm pretty sure that she will be coming. She wants to open a brick and mortar cross-stitch store in Europe, and that's all that I'm going to say. The other designer, we'll see if she comes, but I don't need to know yet. And anybody else who wants to come and sell, if it's projects, you know, patterns, if it's hand-dyed floss, if it's scissors, if it's floss, if it's finishing products, if it's anything, whatever it is, if you want to come and sell, you can come and sell. I have space. I have space. I don't need to do very much if somebody comes and sells, so that's good. So it's basically, I had to strip it. So the whole thing can't really be StitchBasel, because StitchBasel would mean it's a retreat. I'm not doing workshops, I'm not doing, I might do Small Exchange, maybe, who knows, maybe not. There will be a group photo, because that doesn't cost me anything. My brother will probably come, take the picture, that's it. If we do a Small Exchange, I don't know yet. I literally don't know. There will be no name tags, there will be nothing. And it's basically come and stitch with me. 1, 2 or 3 days, up to you. When you sign up and you say, I come Friday, Saturday, or I'll only come Friday, or I'll only come Saturday, or only Sunday, doesn't matter. But please sign up. I need to know what language you speak, if it's English or German, because I do English or German. And then you just turn up. And I know most of the people who have signed up, so I don't need name tags to know if you're allowed to be there or not, but it doesn't really matter because you don't pay. But there are certain people who will not be allowed in, and they know who they are, so that'll be fine. Also, some of the people who have now been twice, they said, I'm not going to come next year, which is fine. They have other things going on, or they have holiday that they want to go somewhere else, and that's fine, because that opens it up for other people. Yeah, so it's basically, it's called XStitchDaysBasel 2025 and not StitchBasel. And the only reason is because you don't pay. You come, you stitch with me, and then if you want to give me 5 francs, 10 francs towards the room, you can do that, but you don't have to pay anything. But like I said, you have to wash up your own coffee cup, and that's it. So I'm calling it XStitchDaysBasel 2025. So we have StitchBasel, which would be the retreat with everything. That would also include workshops, Zoom calls, whatever. But just know, if you come to any of these StitchBasel related things, you don't have to take part in anything. If you're shy and you think I can't do small exchange, or I don't want to be in a game, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, you don't have to do anything. The only thing you need to do when you come to StitchBasel is you have to tell me who you are, so that I know that you belong there. You need to find a place to sit. You can sit alone, but I'm pretty sure somebody will come and sit next to you and talk to you. You can say I'm really shy, I don't know anybody, or I only speak English, or I only speak German. Not a problem. You'll have to look that you get food and drink. And it would be good if you would be stitching. But besides sitting down and stitching and looking out for your own mental health and well-being, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take part in anything. You don't have to buy anything. You literally don't have to do anything. You can just come to the retreat, just sit there and stitch, and then leave again. Of course, I'm pretty sure you will start talking to people, and you will see how much fun it is to meet other cross-stitchers from other countries and just see their work, just walk around and look at the brag walls, because there's always going to be brag walls. So you can hang up your finished or unfinished pieces, and there will always be a brag table where you can put your finished objects or unfinished objects if you just want to put them down. There will always be brag walls and brag table. There will always be a group photo. But then StitchBasel is a retreat. StitchBasel Light is basically just a get-together to meet up and stitch with maybe vendors, maybe not. A small goodie bag, a photo, probably a small exchange, a group photo, small exchange, and that's about it. And then XStitch Days, we'll see. Come and stitch with me, and you don't have to pay. And there's the other thing that I have, there's a new district, sort of, it's a house. I won't go into details. It's just there's three stories in that house that are now being repurposed. And I'm a volunteer, so I go and help, and we've already changed a lot of things. We've done the electricity, the rewiring, the painting, all the things. And it's a space for people who live there to meet up. So on Mondays you can go and get a meal for very cheap. And you get to meet people who you might not have met before. There's going to be music there, there's culture. It's just a place to meet other people, to like there's something called tapas, and it's a game. I don't quite know what it is. They're also probably going to have mahjong on one place. They have German lessons for free for people without papers, sans papier. And because at the moment, you know, we're starting up, it's a work in progress, so not very much is happening yet. The place is not lived in yet, in that sense. So I said, look, I can offer a cross-stitch afternoon once a month. So that's what I'm doing, and it goes under the StitchBasel. So it just says Kreuzstich Nachmittag, so cross-stitch afternoon, and it's in Vario, and that's Lindeberg 21, and that's the address. And on the website of Vario it will be put out when it is. I have a small WhatsApp group where I just post it, and you do not have to say if you're coming or you're not coming, it doesn't matter. I had the first one this week, and there was somebody there who had eaten a meal on Monday, and she saw the flyer and she saw that this is happening, and she just came along to see what it is. And then there were 3 people who I know from cross-stitching, social media, and I met them at StitchBasel, and 3 of them came, and we all speak English, so we talked in English, and we were sitting there, we were stitching. It was just a lovely afternoon, and it didn't take very much organising because it's during the week in an afternoon. So, and I know that some of these stitchers, they work on Saturdays. So last year I tried to get people together on a Saturday, which is a bit more complicated when restaurants close at 2 or open at 6, whatever, so it doesn't really work. And everybody wants to do it on a Saturday, but most people work on Saturdays, so it just didn't work. So I'm doing this, and I'm doing it on a weekday afternoon. At the moment it's Thursdays, but that will change. It will probably more be a Wednesday, or it depends when this whole thing starts working. Most afternoons will be taken, and I just take the afternoon that's open, because I'm pretty happy to just sit there, open my laptop, watch Flosstube and stitch. Because if I sit at home, open my laptop, watch Flosstube and stitch, or if I go there and do the same, and people can come and join me, and this time we had somebody, and I unpacked stuff. I had fabric, floss, patterns, and she could choose, and it was a good afternoon. So those are the different things about StitchBasel. So I hope that helped a bit to just find out what does StitchBasel, StitchBasel Light, XStitchDays, or Stitch Afternoon in Vario mean. I hope that helped, and I hope it helped to just sort of give a bit of information about what the retreat is like in Switzerland, here in Basel, when I do it. And if you have any questions, leave them below. Leave me a comment. I'll answer it, because you're probably, if you have a question, you probably won't be the only one, and I'll happily answer it, and anybody can read it, and that's good. So post your questions in the comments. If it's a private question, there will be an email address. You can email me, I'll answer that. Otherwise, just check back Instagram, Facebook, and you can go back and see the playlists from 2023, 2024, and hopefully at the end of this year there will be a playlist for 2025, and the announcement of whatever there will be StitchBasel in 2026. There might be a Light, there might be an XStitchDays, or there might be a StitchBasel. I hope it will be a StitchBasel with workshops and stuff, but I can't organise that myself. And not having a team made me do what I'm doing now this year. And I hope that it will be as fun as it was last year and the year before. And I've seen who's signed up, and the people that I know who have signed up, I'm so looking forward to meeting them again and just seeing them and giving the biggest hug. And the people that I don't know yet, I hope that at the end of the 3 days or 2 days or 1 day, however long you come, that we'll be friends. Even if it's just virtual friends on Instagram or wherever. Let StitchBasel be a meet up and stitch and get to know other cross stitchers in Europe, designers, fabric dyers, floss dyers, needle minder makers, project bag makers, whatever. And if there's more brick and mortar stores, yay! Even online shops, yay! And if you want to sponsor, hit me up. If you want to come and sell anything, hit me up. I'm open. I'm here for it. So happy cross stitching, everybody, and I hope that one day we will meet in real life and we'll take it from there. So whenever you see StitchBasel, just know this is a safe space, and it's brought me so much joy, a lot of heartache, but you don't need to know about that. But the joy that it's brought me, and the joy that it's brought others, and the way that they talk about it when they say, Dawn, StitchBasel was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for coming. Happy stitching, everybody. Bye.